Haseki Hurrem Sultan,
the wife of Suleiman the Magnificent and Selim's mother. Hurrem Sultan, by current historians to the public. Although the palace plotter was presented as a light woman, she was a highly intelligent, educated, compassionate and successful Haseki Sultan. Hurrem Sultan, the wife of Suleiman the Magnificent, is known as the Sultan's lady who had the most reconstruction work done in Istanbul and the provinces in Ottoman history. Early life. Historians generally believe that Hurrem Sultan was of Russian descent. They state that she was born in Ukraine in 1506. It is stated that her name is Rosa or Roxieline due to the reddish color of her hair. According to Leslie Pierce, the author of the scholarly work Harem Humayun, Hurrem Sultan is most likely from western Ukraine. According to what is told in Poland, her name is Alexandra Lasovska and she was taken prisoner by the Tatars from the city of Regatin when she was the daughter of a Ruthenian priest. At the age of 9, she was captured by the Crimean Turks and was educated in the Crimean palace for a few years. Later, she was gifted to Sarai Humayun by the Khan of Crimea. Arrival at the palace. After entering the Ottoman palace, this sympathetic and smiling concubine, who was educated with Islamic and Turkish upbringing, drew attention with her cheerful demeanor, cuteness, quick wit and hard work. She was given the name Harem because she had a smiling face. Some authors stated that she was of normal beauty, white complexion, medium height, snub nose, thin, cheerful, elegant and attractive, and stated her various physical features. In fact, all these ascriptions originate from a portrait that is said to belong to her or from paintings by various painters. Surely, a concubine taken to the palace or given as a gift to the Sultan is stout and beautiful. It is the job of the Valide Sultans to choose someone who will be the Sultan's mother in the future and will serve as the most influential person in the palace. Hafsa Hatun has chosen such a person for her son Kanuni, who is Harem. There is no definite information about when Hurrem Sultan joined Kanuni's harem. However, it is highly probable that he was in the first year of his reign. Meanwhile, the most influential woman in the palace was, of course, Hafsa Sultan, the mother of Suleiman the Magnificent. The second-degree influential woman was Mahidevran Hatun, the first wife of Kanuni, who gave birth to Sazaid Mustafa in 1515. When Hurrem Sultan gave birth to Prince Mehmed in 1520–21, his influence increased in the palace and in the court of the Magnificent. Hurrem Sultan gave sons to Kanuni one after another after Shahzad Mehmed. Hurrem Sultan had 6 children from this marriage. Her third child, Abdullah, died at a very young age. Other children were named Mehmed, Selim, Jihangir, Bayezid and Mirima. Mahidevran Hanum's ascent to the starboard with her son Sazaid Mustafa made Hurrem Sultan the most authoritative person in the harem. Because Hafsa Valide Sultan also passed away in the same year, the religious aspect of Haseki Hurrem Sultan is also very strong. As a matter of fact, Bernard Bromage, one of the Western writers, points out that the feeling of jihad is high when writing about her personality. She dominated the most magnificent period of the Ottoman reign together with Suleiman the Magnificent. Seeing that her husband was a world conqueror, this beautiful woman tried to reach the farthest polytheist lands by defeating the Salib. Hurrem Sultan, a very devoted woman to her family, did not leave Kanuni and her children alone anywhere. She traveled to Manisa, Konya, Kütahya and Amasya, where her sons were the Sancakbi. She established close relations between family members. Before Hurrem Sultan, lady sultans, who were their princes, would go to the sanjaks with their princes. But Hurrem Sultan did not leave Topkapi Palace. The view of historians on this issue, it is the disease of Shahzad Jihangir. Shahzad Jihangir, who was born with a disability, was not sent to the sanjak because he was incapable of reigning and in need of attention. Kanuni and Hurrem Sultan loved Mehmed very much among their princes. Shahzad Mehmed was the eldest son of Kanuni from Hurrem Sultan. Shahzad Mehmed, like his brother Mustafa, was valuable and well-educated. However, his governorship of Manisa did not last long. A year passed, he died suddenly in 1543. The death of the young prince, who was loved and thought to be the future of the throne, left the family in great mourning. It can be said that Hurrem Sultan's sad years began with this death. Although Hurrem Sultan reached a level that no sultan's wife could reach in terms of politics, she suffered greatly from time to time. In addition to her children who died at a young age, the deaths of Manisa governor Shahzad Mehmed and then Shahzad Jihangir caused her great sadness. She suffered from many diseases due to the pain of her son. She suffered greatly. She spent her last winter with her beloved Sultan, Kanuni, in Edirne. When her discomfort increased, she returned to Istanbul and settled in the old palace, where there was a hospital. She died at a young age in 1558, probably due to an illness triggered by a long-term disease of the disease. She was 52 years old at her death. Her corpse was brought to the Bayezid Mosque Square on the shoulders of the viziers. After the funeral prayer performed in the imamate of Sheikh al-Islam Ibasud Effendi, she was buried again by the hand of the Sheikh al-Islam. Her death affected all the people of Istanbul. There was a beautiful tradition in the Ottoman family. The belongings of dynasty members, including those who died at a young age, were meticulously kept. Only the belongings of women and girls were excluded from this tradition. This custom changed when Hurrem Sultan passed away. The private belongings of the deceased were kept in the palace and in her tomb. These personal belongings, including elegantly embroidered drapes, scarves and jewelry, are still exhibited in the Topkapi Palace Museum and the Turkish Islamic Arts Museum. Her tomb. The Sultan of the world, Sultan Suleiman, was blessed with a long and loving life. He did not want the body of his beloved wife, who had always supported him, and whom he did not love another woman after her death, to be far away from him. He had a tomb built for her right next to the one he had reserved for his own tomb around the Suleymaniye Mosque. He appointed guards and hafiz-i-Quras at Hurrem Sultan's tomb. The Quran was read to the soul of this benevolent sultan 24 hours a day for centuries. According to the documents in the Prime Ministry Archive, the number of hafiz-i-Qura and watchmen working in turns was 138 people. Considering that they are paid a high wage of 350 akça per day, it is better understood how much Kanuni loved Hurrem Sultan. Suleiman the Magnificent and Hurrem Sultan were truly devoted to each other with great love and loyalty. But this love and affection did not prevent both of them from fulfilling their duties. During the 38 years that he was married to Hurrem Sultan, the Sultan did not get off his horse much and did not refrain from his jihad service. Hurrem Sultan, on the other hand, embellished and beautified Istanbul and many other towns with zoning activities as if by the hand of women. Both of them knew how to satisfy their longing for each other with letters and poems. Hurrem Sultan once addressed her master with the following lines in the letters she sent to the Sultan.
Ey sabah sultanımıza zar-u perişan diyesin, gül yüzünsüz işi bülbül ile efgan diyesin, firkatinde sanma derdi dile dermanım yeter. Bulmadı kimse anın derdine derman diyesün tiğ derdinle yüreğimi delüp desti gam, ney gibi firkatte hasta bünalan diyesin.
O morning wind, tell my sultan that I am miserable and tearful. When you don't have a smiley face, what he will do is cry like a nightingale. When you leave, don't think that my cure is enough for this trouble. No one has found a cure for this trouble. This sorrow pierced my heart with the sword of sorrow. Say sick with the pain of separation like nay. On the other hand, Kanuni wanted to relieve his longing a little by responding to his wife's longing with poetry.
Nameler gelse kaçan İstanbul Ağabağ'dan, bu zülfünü sehergeh alıram Bağdat'tan, gül yüzünden doğr olalı bu gönül bülbül gibi, geceler ta subhadek hali değil feryaddan.
In his reply, Kanuni stated that while he was in Baghdad, he could smell her hair even though he was far from the one he loved. Another duty of the morning wind was to convey the beautiful scents dispersed from the lover's hair to the lover. Because, like the shape of that hair, its smell is also attractive. The scents dispersed from there have always been identified with musk and amber in classical poetry. Thus, they were renewing their love at every moment by pouring the pain and sorrow of separation into letters. On the other hand, Hurrem Sultan, who was one of the foremost among the Ottoman lady sultans in doing good, made great efforts to reconstruct the vast lands spread over 3 continents and to be beneficial to the people. After Salakzada and Ibrahim Pasevi Effendi included the works of Suleiman the Magnificent in their histories, the charity of Hurrem Sultan is listed. Works of Hurrem Sultan. Most of Hurrem Sultan's life was spent with her son, Jihangir, who was disturbed. When Sazaid Jihangir, whom she loved very much, passed away, she had the Jihangir Mosque built on the big hill that dominates Tufain for his soul. She had a strong fortress, a mosque, a beautiful soup kitchen, a high tomb and a mental hospital built on the tomb of Imam-i-Azam in Baghdad. Again in Baghdad, she renovated the high dome on the tomb of Sheikh Abdul Qadir I-Gailani, restored the mosque, renovated the soup kitchen and other charitable institutions, and connected these institutions to foundations. In Konya, near the tomb of Mevlana Celaleddin Rumi, a high mosque with 2 minarets, a beautiful masjid, soup kitchen and rooms for dervishes were built. There is a mosque, madrasa soup kitchen and other charitable works in Damascus. In Kefe and Iznik, one big church that was turned into a mosque was devastated over a long period of time. She renovated them and had them connected to foundations as needed. She has done a lot of charity in the blessed Mecca and Medina, and she has doubled the already ongoing charity. Another charity is the river Oms. This water is the source of Arafat. In the past, this water was flowed by Zubayd Hatun, wife of Meliksa, Sultan of the Great Seljuk Empire, and brought to the city. In Mecca, she had 4 large madrasas built separately for 4 sects and appointed 15 students and 1 assistant professor according to the rules applied in the Greek country. Certain appropriations of these reached their hands without any disruption. The blessed house where the mother of the believers, Khadija, Fatima and her other children were born, was turned into a mosque. Since it was ruined over time, she had it repaired and had a high dome built on it. Now, every Friday until the afternoon and until the morning on Tuesday nights, dervishes and the poor gather there to chant. She also built rich soup kitchens in Mecca and Medina. The poor of Mecca and Medina are fed and drunk here every day. She brought water like Kawthar water to the city of Edirne and had many fountains built, from which the poor people do not hesitate to find life again and to feel unmeasured joy. A blessed mosque, a beautiful soup kitchen and a large inn were built in the town of Mustafa Pasha Bridge, which are also charity works of the late Haseki Sultan.